edition of TFNN. The Morning Market Kickoff with your host, Tommy O'Brien. Now, Tommy O'Brien.
Good morning, everybody. It's Election Day, Tuesday, November 8th, as we come into the opening bell, and you got markets picking things up in positive territory with the S&P futures right now up by 16 points. That's 0.4%. You get the NASDAQ 100 up by 83 points, 11,096. You see the run. Even yesterday, the acceleration pretty much all day from lows at about noon Eastern time. Dow up 124 points. We're inching towards 33,000 on the Dow, and you get the Russell right now up by 8 points at 1821. We're going to kick things off with Bitcoin, man, because you talk about an acceleration, folks. You want some volatility? I don't think you want that kind of volatility to the downside. If you are bullish, not even close. Bitcoin down $1,200. That's down 6%. Got a little bit of fear going on in that market that they may have a crisis in the making yet again. Crude jumping to $91 this morning. We got the gold contract at $16.76. We take a look at notes and bonds on an important election day that could hit the markets in terms of either way. Obviously, it's going to matter, folks, as you have the House and the Senate up for grabs. Looks like the House is going to go Republican. That would be a check on Democrats. Very realistic possibility that the Senate goes Republican as well. That'd be an even greater check on Democrats in terms of taking charge of both chambers. We find out a lot today. We're going to find out a lot in the next couple of days of how the next couple of years will look. And then guess what, folks? Trump's already said November 15th, I think, the presidential election kicks off. We got 2 years until the presidential election. So, yeah, right when those ads stop that we're all hearing, especially in some of those states, the election season is going to kick off in pretty dramatic fashion with Biden and Trump going at it. Seems to be the case, but we find out a lot. And I imagine the market's going to react one way or the other, folks, because you know, the one thing that's pretty interesting is polling is very difficult these days, to put it lightly. And you want to give the people conducting the polls take a lot of heat, rightfully so, especially over the last, 6 years, 8 years, something like that, as they've been dramatically wrong. But I don't know how you poll in a much more accurate way right now. Very difficult to do because people just don't want to get, I mean, who picks up a phone and answers a poll? So for what it's worth, folks, you know, they've been magnificently wrong in the past in both directions. And nothing says that we don't get some surprises tonight, and we get to see if the market reacts. The 10-year right now up by 6 ticks on that. We jump over to the VIX with so much hanging in the balance, man. We got a VIX at 24. Right? We got volatility that is just roaring in this market right now. And every single day I pull up the program, I start the program off and I go through the VIX, and I'm pushing now. The last time was October 14th. We had a green bar in the VIX, folks. And what's happened is that they've all been red bars. Doesn't mean that you have huge negative action on those days, but it means throughout the trading day from the open to the close, the bar is red. So for instance, on October 24th, right? So what sometimes we've had volatility spike up overnight, but even then during the day, it gets sucked out. And we're talking about right now, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. This is the 17th consecutive day of a red bar in the VIX and the 18th out of 19th. Red bars. It doesn't go like that forever, man. With everything we have going on right now, folks, we have a Fed that just supposedly freaked out the market when he said they're going to be higher than everyone's thinking, right? The Federal Reserve Chairman last week told the whole market that, guess what, folks? You think rates are high? Well, we're going even higher. He didn't use those words, but that was the sentiment. And I can't find a green bar on this VIX going back to October 14th. So pay attention, because fears will pop up again regardless of what happens today in the elections, with the VIX trading at 24.43. And let's jump over to the crypto, man. So Bitcoin's down $1,300. We're at 19,545. You put this thing on a longer term chart, this bright blue line, that's where futures started trading, folks. Absolutely remarkable that it is 5 years ago. Do you remember when futures were starting to trade on the CME? And all the hype was, hey, man, this is amazing, right? They're going to trade on a regulated exchange. They're going to be shortable on a regulated exchange. So it went from being a wild, wild west of crypto exchanges to a regulated Chicago Mercantile Exchange account that you could short that with. You go public, you go public. You start trading on the futures December 2017. It's a one-way trip over 12 months down to 3,000, okay? And we've been just jumping around at that level. Now, this is not what you wanted to hear, folks, if you are a crypto bull. FTX's native token, FTT, and this is the leader of crypto, folks, okay? Bankman-Fried? What's it? SBF, right, is how he's referred to. Sam Bankman-Fried, maybe. Nonetheless, they're selling, and their token is down 32%. That's their native token, okay? FTX, we've seen all the ads for FTX, right? Their native token, FTT, just lost 32% of its value. The turbulence was triggered by one of the rivals, okay, selling $500 million of holdings of the FTT coins. And that is bringing back memories of the contagion. And, you know, it's been one thing. I've been watching this gentleman, okay? Brilliant man. I think he was at MIT. Did he drop out at MIT to focus on this stuff? Obviously a brilliant person. And it was always kind of, you know, how's he meandering all the pain that's going on throughout the industry, right? He's the leader in the industry, and everybody else is taking it on the chin, and he's able to do it all. Well, folks, we're going to find out if that's the case, because their native token's down 32%, and we'll talk a little bit more about this after we talk to Kevin Hincks. But you're talking about outflows, $650 million over the last 24 hours. That can create a crisis. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back. If you're looking for potential trading setups in the stock market, then Rocket Equities and Options Report is a newsletter you should try. Tommy O'Brien delivers options and equity trades when the markets present them, using a combination of fundamentals and technicals. Sign up for Rocket Equities and Options Report today with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to risk. For all the details and to start your subscription today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
Everything in the universe is governed by the Fibonacci sequence. This mathematical principle is responsible for everything from the most aesthetically pleasing artwork to patterns in the stock market. To stay on top of stock patterns you can take advantage of, sign up for the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter at TFNN.com. When you subscribe, you'll get a weekly report from veteran day trader Larry Pesavento on stocks you need to pay attention to. And you can trust Larry's analysis. After all, he's got 45 years experience as a day trader. Larry will also provide daily charts, videos, and data on the key markets that he's tracking. Expect notifications from Larry on market movement you need to act on at any time. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. Subscribe to the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter today. TFNN.com, educating investors.
Steve Rhodes started his trading career as a student almost 20 years ago, and the student has now become the master. Steve won the prestigious Timer of the Year award in 2018 and barely missed that mark again in 2019, finishing at number 2 for the year. An amazing accomplishment. Steve Rhodes is committed to sharing his techniques and knowledge with anyone who wants to learn, and he shares his vast amount of trading knowledge every day in his Mastering Probability newsletter. Steve's award-winning newsletter, Mastering Probability, is delivered every trading day with updates throughout the afternoon. Sign up for Steve's market newsletter, Mastering Probability, and you'll receive access to 7 of Steve's educational webinars absolutely free. At TFNN, all our newsletters come with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Visit TFNN.com and try Mastering Probability 30 days risk-free today. TFNN, educating investors.
TFNN has launched the Tiger's Den. Hosted at Discord, TFNN has been educating traders for more than 20 years with live programming hosted by a variety of professional traders during market hours. The Tiger's Den, available to all tigers and tigresses for just $1 for the year. There's no catch or added costs when you join our community of traders. Sign up today and become a part of this educational community of traders. Just visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Welcome back, folks. We have S&P futures up by 13 points right now at 38.28. We get the NASDAQ up by 72. You get the Dow right near 33,000. We're up by 100 points in the Dow. And let's jump over to our man, Kevin Hincks. Every trading day, folks, 12 noon Eastern time from the TD Ameritrade Network Fast Market with your hosts, Kevin Hincks and Tom White, right here on Tiger TV, folks. They do an outstanding job. They have a number of great guests. They talk about the market action. They usually walk you through 3 hypothetical trade setups, all of them using options. I've learned a tremendous amount watching the program myself. I encourage you to do it. And we got a big week as usual, and we got a big day. Kevin Hincks, happy election day, man.
Good morning, Tommy O'Brien. Yep, big day. What traders should be watching overnight for changes in sentiment, changes in attitudes are the futures, right? This is a night where the futures market will really be in focus as you watch the swings. Remember 2016 when the futures market did that big swing overnight. And so this is really a night where you should be watching futures for the results. And, you know, Tommy, this is going to be an interesting night. 6 races, I think, are the key here when you look at where things are going. It's Georgia, it's Pennsylvania, it's Nevada and Ohio, it's New Hampshire and Arizona. And those are the ones that I think one will be watching. And, you know, obviously you live in Florida. I don't think that's a significant election tonight for this country, but I think the overall market will trade tomorrow based on sentiment and perception of how this went.
It's pretty interesting what is up in the air, as in pretty big deal. You know how, in both chambers of the House, you got to check on the presidency potentially. I was talking about in the beginning of the program, Kevin, there's always that X factor hanging, probably rightfully so, in my opinion, right now, that the polls have been so tough recently, man. And you know, they've taken a lot of heat, the people pushing, creating the polls. But boy, it's got to be so tough right now. Nobody wants to answer a poll, man. So we'll see what happens. They've been magnificently wrong in both directions recently. So defined risk maybe, folks, when you have an unforeseen. And I want to jump to the VIX, Kevin. What do you think about the volatility, man? You just made a great case for what's happening coming down the line. We're going to see some volatility tonight. And meanwhile, when I take a look at the VIX on the Thinkorswim platform, Kevin, I think we're up to 16 straight red days on a daily basis on the VIX as we got a 24 handle coming into the election. What do you make of the general attitude of the VIX with midterms today?
Yeah, I think the VIX is a really, you know, we always talk about head scratchers and things that have been head scratchers. And the VIX moving down from, my gosh, like 11 or 12, and it's gone straight down since then, Tommy. And I think, if you ask me my opinion on what happened, it is there was a lot of protection already owned in the market. You know, the traders that may buy protection, the fact that they already owned it, may be the reason why you're seeing VIX not elevate. Now, that could change in the blink of an eye. I mean, post-election, Tommy, we have CPI coming out on Thursday. That's going to be extremely eye-opening in terms of, you know, the year-over-year CPI number is still expected to be 8%. The year-over-year core is still supposed to be 6.6% and unchanged from a month ago. So right after this election, if there's any positive attitude or negative, it could change in 2 days with CPI data Thursday morning. So there's a lot going on. You know, this is certainly a time where earnings will take a back seat, even though we'll have a pretty high-profile name today in Disney, the highest profile name of the week that we'll be looking at today. So a lot going on here, Tommy, but like me, I'm sure your viewers will be watching the futures market overnight for the overall sentiment.
Boy, I remember those 2016 futures, man. I remember I had my laptop up, I had my popcorn out, I was watching the results roll in, and my mind was getting blown like everybody else. And boy, you talk about a reversal on those futures in 2016. And yeah, I mean, that VIX, you make some great points because I scratch my head, like you say. When you think about the data points that we've gone through, Kevin, I know you know it, but just, you know, we're talking about, you had some pretty magnificent FANG earnings misses in there when the VIX just keeps dropping. We had some CPI at the beginning, at least, of that on the beginning. And then, of course, we got the Fed statement saying we're higher than the market thinks, folks. And still, the VIX pulls back. So maybe, like you said, people had their ducks in a row. With that in mind, you referenced it, man. We get Disney. That'll be an interesting one. Well off of the highs on Disney. For that stock, what else are you guys talking about on the program at 12 o'clock today, Kevin?
We'll trade Disney in the first segment of the show, and then like Folio will do their presentation, and we'll trade Roblox, the video game company, and then finally we'll go into the energy sector with Oxy Petroleum, which is Warren Buffett's favorite company and large holdings, as you know. So Disney, Roblox, and Oxy Petroleum today.
And, you know, it's quite a story in terms of, I should pull it up later in the program, folks, because the conversation, Kevin, about Buffett right there, Berkshire just out with their numbers, pretty strong numbers. He's got a decent position in Oxy. He's had a decent position in Apple, among many other equities. But pretty remarkable, right, what he did in terms of, he got lapped by ARK and all of those growth stocks and some of them as he kept his money in there, folks. But, boy, you take a look at that chart. He's caught up in pretty magnificent fashion. So always looking at that stock as Oxy, man, pushing highs for the year. And crude, let's jump to crude from that conversation, Kevin, as we finish this up. What's your take on crude, man, as we're pushing 91.58 right now on light sweet crude, just off of the highs of 93 yesterday, but higher prices right now as we come into election day. One of the themes out there, higher prices, higher gas prices. What's your take on the crude market now that we're back above 91 bucks right now?
Yeah, you heard me say this before. I think this winter, with disruptions and the end of the program to release strategic reserves coming, and the still disruptions from OPEC Plus and the war in Ukraine, I think crude oil is going to be a volatile trade, Tommy, and I'm not surprised at all that it's rallied from around $80 to $90. So yeah, I think if you're trading crude or watching crude, I think volatility is what's really going to be happening. It could go either way based on breaking news, but it doesn't surprise me that it's moving, Tommy.
Man, it's pretty, again, on the Thinkorswim platform, October 10th, folks, it's basically trading at 94 bucks. You fast forward to October 18th, it's at 82 bucks. Guess what? We were just back at almost $94 yesterday. Pretty remarkable. Well, Kevin, I appreciate the time. We're going to know a lot more when I talk to you in 24 hours tomorrow morning, man. It should be a wild one. Have a great program, and we'll be watching at 12 o'clock, and we'll talk to you tomorrow, man.
Thanks for having me on, Tim. Have a great day.
Always a pleasure. Folks, tune in. They're talking about three great stocks. Disney's a big one tonight. Let's jump over to Disney real quick as we come into this break. Disney, talk about pulling back, man. My goodness. Now, I was a bull for Disney on a while. We had it in my newsletter. Did get stopped out, and we'll see where it goes from here, man. The argument, their parks, folks, they're packed to the hilt. They're going to be packed to the hilt for the ever longer term. You know, if you like to hit 200, you love it at 100 is the expression. But you take a look at this thing on a longer-term time frame, folks, on a monthly, okay? Where are you back to? You're back to the consolidation that you were in basically from 2015 to 2018 when Disney chopped around between 100 and 120. You trade back down to that area. That's a monthly. Let's put it back on a weekly real quick. We come into this. Now, Disney breaks out of the 100 area. What do? They break out of it on their earnings. When we collapsed to that level during COVID, May of 2020, 146 million shares, folks. And look at the volume when we first came back down in this area, right? These are weekly bars. You had 113, then you had 62, then you had 70, then you had 51. What are we doing back down here? 43 million. We'll take a look at Disney as well when we come back. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back for the opening bell. Currencies, commodities, and bond markets are as important as ever right now with how they're driving the volatility in equity markets across the globe, which is why it's a great time to try out Teddy Kegstat's Tiger Forex Report. Teddy Kegstat breaks down the Forex markets every Monday using his 30-plus years of experience as a trading veteran of futures, Forex, stocks, and options. Teddy releases his weekly Tiger Forex Report every Monday morning with coverage of all the major currency pairs, including the dollar index, the euro dollar, pound dollar, dollar Swiss, dollar yen, as well as many more, and he also has weekly coverage of the crude oil market and the 30-year T-bonds, as they both influence Forex markets tremendously. When you sign up for the Tiger Forex Report, you also gain instant access to Teddy's 60-minute webinar archive he just hosted, Forex Strategies and Fundamentals, What is Behind the Tiger Forex Report. For all the details and to start your 30-day Tiger Forex Report subscription today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors. TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartleys, ABCs, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
Sharpening your skills as an investor is like getting better at playing a musical instrument. You have to practice, sure, but you also need excellent instruction from experts. At TFNN, you'll get advice and guidance from the authority in technical market analysis. And it's not just dry, tedious text either. TFNN airs live financial content streamed live on TFNN.com and TFNN's YouTube channel with Tiger TV, live every market day from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern, for free. Each host is an experienced trader and gives their take on the market while taking calls and questions live from around the world. From the moment the market opens until the closing bell sounds, Tiger TV has 8 different shows with expert hosts to help you make the right moves with your money. Watch online at TFNN.com or on TFNN's YouTube channel and become the investor you were born to be. TFNN, educating investors.
This segment is brought to you by Thinkorswim. For more information, just click the Thinkorswim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Well, welcome back, folks. We got markets open. You're looking at S&P positive by 10 points right now. And yeah, pretty interesting, right? When you take a look at this daily, okay, and you back things up. Now, you came into that Fed meeting when we traded from 4,300 to 3,500. We're sitting at 3,800. And there was definitely wording in there for optimism. And that's why you got that acceleration, putting this back, okay, just going back to the Fed meeting. That's why you got that half hour of euphoria on Wednesday afternoon, because the statement said they were going to begin considering what was the exact word? The total, the cumulative was the word, the cumulative effect of the rate hikes, okay? Well, interesting. Where are we back to, folks? Look where we're back to. We are just back to where we were prior to the Fed. That level, 38.33. Where were we just trading at? 38.34. Absolutely remarkable that we've pulled back to that level when you think about the volatility in between that, okay? As in, you traded, folks, from 38.98 down to 37.04. You traded 200 points to the downside. And meanwhile, we're sitting within a tick of where we were prior to that level. That is some volatility for you in a big way. Okay, jump back to Disney real quick. Taking a look at that to finish the conversation as we came in. As the markets give it up a bit, S&P's up by 3 right now. We'll keep our eye on the markets as they open. Disney down about 0.2% right now. So putting it back on the weekly, okay? And I do have shares of Disney, folks, for what it's worth, okay? But longer term, all right, there's only one Disney, man. You know, I got kids in the house, and I know there's a lot of great competition, all right? They love Netflix. Netflix is great, too, okay? But there's only one Mickey Mouse, man. Tommy's going to be 2 in February, folks. How's that for time? Remember when he was born? If you're listening to the program, 2 fast years. He's going to be 2 in February. And he loves Mickey Mouse. He loves Mickey Mouse Clubhouse right now. Of course, we have Disney in the house. What's that? What else is he a fan of? He's a fan of Cars right now. Cars on the Road, one of the reboots on the Disney platform as well. And we still have yet to make it to Disney World, and we're about an hour from there, right? And we've tried to make it on one occasion at least. It was back in March, I think. Yeah, it was back in March. We were going to be in Orlando. We thought about it. Excuse me, it was March, so it was spring break for many kids. Disney was sold out weeks on end. Excuse me. So longer term for what it's worth, but guess what? The market right now looking very short term at times. Disney down about 0.5% right now, but on a weekly basis, okay? Taking a look at this conversation. So backing this out real quick, you're comparing it to where we were there. We accelerate. You trade into that area first back in June, and it was just lighter volume all the way down, man. You know, you had some volume here when they come out with their numbers a couple quarters ago. You got some big volume there of 113 million, right? But look at how we inch below the 100 level, all right? That only got us to 100, that big volume bar. We get below that level with 70 million, 51, 57, 34. Now that's July 4th. That's probably a shortened week. And 54 million. And then what do? We trade into that area again with 57, 41, and 43 million when you make it down to 90. Okay, last week we did about 46. This will be an important week. You have midterms, you have elections, and you have CPI. And it all comes at you pretty quickly starting today. With Disney, they got a double banger. You got Disney, you got the volatility potentially from the elections, and then you have, of course, their numbers. You jump over to the Analyze tab for the earnings, pricing in about a 7.3% move right now just for their numbers. When you talk about trades, you're looking at an area down there of about $7.87 in terms of the price that you're paying for either direction. So about a 7 or 8% move priced into Disney for their numbers. All right, jumping back to that article for Bitcoin. Let's see how Bitcoin's trading. Because, folks, this is enough money to move general markets as well when you're talking about $500 million here and there. So crypto suddenly tumbled on Tuesday, okay, in Asia, driven by questions surrounding the balance sheet of Alameda Research. That is SBF's crypto trading house. Investors kept pulling assets from FTX, and that's the exchange that they run, and sent the native token FTT driving. Now, what this has to do with is there's speculation that the balance sheet for FTX is driven by a majority holding in FTT coins. So what's going to happen? Their balance sheet's going to be affected, man, right? They have assets that just declined by potentially 32%. Yeah. Cherry picking some of the other numbers in there, as I mentioned, net outflows of $653 million over a 24-hour period. This is some security forum. There was some whale pulling out $284 million worth of Ether and stable coins off FTX. Yeah, you got $300 million on that exchange, and you're seeing these headlines. Give me my money, man. I don't care if I'm down 10, 20%, because guess what? We know how it goes in the crypto sector, folks. It all could go away. Biggest intraday drop since May of 2021. Now, they make the point in this article that guess what? If it was really bad, Bitcoin isn't even as low as the lows it had recently when they were dealing with some of the problems of the Luna debacle, okay? Now, this has to do with Binance as well. Zhao, the guy who's run Binance, okay, they're worth 18.3 and 15.6 billion respectively. That's some decent numbers out there. But part of this is that they've been battling, and Zhao makes the tweet that he's selling basically everything on there. So there's some stuff going on, and guess what? Know enough to know that you don't know everything, folks, okay? Just knowing that you don't know everything is knowing something and being aware, especially in the crypto market, especially with the way that they can hide what they're doing in crypto, I'm sure, okay? Listen to the market when it plunges 32% like that, because something is going on, and people who have real money at stake are saying that they do not want to take those risks. And you're seeing the reaction in Bitcoin is now down to $1,400. We jump over to Ethereum. Ethereum down 9.5%. You see, all we've been doing is chopping around at these areas since June, and that's when the last Luna debacle really accelerated. You see the volume in Ether, right, down to 77,000 contracts. Nothing like it since those lows. You jump over to Bitcoin in the same way. And yeah, there's your huge acceleration on Bitcoin. Basically brought it from the 30,000 to the 20,000, actually made it to those lows like they were talking about of 17. Yeah, recently back in October. But all that is a consolidation near 20,000, man. And, you know, don't be surprised, folks, if you get an acceleration lower, because he was the one saving this industry. I couldn't figure out how, and maybe he was doing it in a way that presented a problem if you got to pull back like they might be having right now. I mean, this is why we have regulations, because, you know, it's a very unregulated area, and they're operating as exchanges and banks, and they're probably not capitalized well enough. That's the reason why we have so many regulations for banks now, because this used to play out in our financial industry, it seems like, right? These were the things that used to happen. Runs on the banks, right? Liquidity crisis everywhere. Well, they're just beginning, it seems like, in crypto, as it's a very, very new area. And even the best of them all are susceptible, as we're seeing today, man. You wouldn't have thought, right, that FTT token could trade down 32% just from everything I've been hearing about. You wouldn't have thought that. He's the savior, man. He's the JP Morgan that's buying everybody, saving everybody that's in a dire time in the industry before maybe it rejuvenates and trades higher. Well, guess what? There is risk in everything, folks. So be careful in a big way. All right, let's jump around to some of the stocks that are flying as we come into this break. And boy, Lyft. What are they down now? Yeah, 17.6%. You know, I was talking about these companies yesterday, and I was saying that I would like a company that's more just into the ride hailing, right, versus the food delivery business, because the food delivery business like DoorDash is just in trouble, man. Okay, but I also said when pulling up when pulling up Lyft, that boy, that is a tough chart, even if you take out today's action. Not exactly strength in any way, and yeah, they got pummeled. We'll talk about it when we get back. Lyft down 18%. Stay tuned, folks. Back in 3 minutes.
You might think that if you want to be successful at trading in the stock market, you're going to need a crystal ball. After all, it's impossible to predict the future, right? Like any endeavor in life, before you decide it's impossible, get some advice from the experts. You might find that it's not so impossible after all. For daily market overviews that give you direction on the key indices, selective stocks, and commodities, subscribe to the Opening Call newsletter at TFNN.com. The Opening Call newsletter is written by Basil Chapman, creator of the trading methodology known as the Chapman Wave. The Chapman Wave up-down sequence gives you an edge in identifying price turns, finding the peaks and valleys in stock prices. Get the Opening Call newsletter by Basil Chapman in your inbox every day. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know, and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. TFNN.com, educating investors.
The technology around us is changing every day. With so much happening, it can seem impossible to keep up with all the information. David White's investment newsletter, The Technology Insider, is designed to give you all the information you need to understand the technology that shapes today's markets and tomorrow's future. David White has made his living staying on the cutting edge of technology. His weekly newsletter will give you specific recommendations for value tech stocks, as well as entry prices, target prices, and stops to set for each trade. Dave delivers his weekly newsletters every Friday with updates throughout the week. You can get the Technology Insider at TFNN.com for only $37.50. Sign up for David's newsletter, The Technology Insider, and get an inside look at everything the technology sector has to offer. Try it risk-free today with our 30-day money-back guarantee. TFNN, educating investors.
Will the S&P 500 continue to climb? For bold trades on U.S. large-cap stocks in either direction, trade SPXL, SPUU, or SPXS. Directions Daily S&P 500 Bull and Bear Leveraged ETFs. Direction Leveraged ETFs. An investor should carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risks, charges, and expenses before investing. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a fund's prospectus and summary prospectus, call 866-476-7523 or visit directioninvestments.com. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
This program is brought to you by Vista Gold, traded on the NYSE American and TSX under the symbol VGZ.
Welcome back, folks. We have the market trading lower on the open. S&P's dip into negative territory, off by 3 at 38.12 right now. You got the NASDAQ barely hanging on to gains. NASDAQ 100 up by 6. Dow leading the way right now, up by 94 points. The Russell negative by 7. There's a drop-off for you. Crude right at about 91.42. We jump over to gold contract right now at 16.78. Let's jump around to some of the currencies real quick. You got the dollar index sitting right at about 110.30, 110.29, we'll call it. You take a look at the dollar on a little bit of a longer term basis, so maybe potentially breaking out of this channel line. We'll see where we trade, not quite to the lows that we had at the end of October, but the dollar backing off from where we were just a couple days ago. That's a daily chart. Again, we're looking at right now at 110.28. Let's jump over to the euro. Euro US dollar right now, parity on the dot for you. How's that? And I've been talking about this one. That is a very strong sign, folks, of strength out of the euro. As the euro bounces right off of that channel line, we're sitting at parity. We'll see where we go from there. And, you know, they were talking about it earlier in the den, the TLT bonds. Look for some bond movement tonight, man, for sure, because who controls the chambers is going to matter when it comes to any type of government spending at all that could impact inflation. It could impact the dollar. It could impact yields. That could impact the market. It can be an important evening, depending how it shakes out. We got the euro coming into that at parity. We'll jump over to the pound US dollar. Pound US dollar kind of pushing the upper boundary of its channel line. So interesting how there's all these divergences of the channels and where they line up with the different pairings. And we jump over to the yen. Dollar yen, you can make a case backing off from the highs that we saw of about 152. 150.193 was the spike high. We actually got about 150. If you take that tail off, it might be a better representation of that high in terms of the body, the highs from the other candles. Nonetheless, that matches up with the channel line as well. Let's extend that to the right a little bit. So we're backing off on the dollar yen, kind of coinciding with how the other currencies are lining up, of course, as you get a little bit of dollar weakness, backing off in the areas. But boy, the data is going to line up, folks, no matter what happens with the elections tonight. As Kevin said, what are we looking for CPI? Like 8%? Something like that? It's going to be an interesting one for sure. And yeah, jumping back to Lyft real quick. So not quite at all-time lows, I don't think. We were down there at 1038 I have on my chart. Yeah, October, what is that? October 11th? What was the market trading at on October 11th? Is that the 3502 day? It's pretty close. So when the market was at about 3600, 3,500, it had that acceleration. That's when Lyft makes its low back there at $10 and change. This morning, down 19.4%, man, on their numbers. Some big numbers, Lyft taking it on the chin. You know, it's interesting. I saw the article out there this morning. Did I have it pulled up? No, maybe I was just, maybe? No, yes? All right, I'll find it. There we go. Because this one's just an interesting one to consider when you look at the math of everything that these companies make. So it's going to be an interesting thing to watch how Elon manages Twitter and if he can monetize it to the degree necessary for $44 billion, even though it's pretty consensus that he overpaid. All right, so reportedly considers locking all Twitter behind a paywall. Now, this is a private company, folks. They can do whatever they want now. Okay, the conversation is completely different. I've talked about it before with the way he manages Tesla, right? Because you have gone to the public and asked them for funding by having a public company, right? It's traded on public exchanges. Those exchanges have rules to make sure that that public trading is fair and insiders aren't scalping off of everybody else, okay? So that's why that important information is so important, and that's why the lies and the BS and the extravagant things he would say online could be misleading and illegal because you're going out to the public for funding and then you're saying things that are not true that impact that investing, okay? Private company doesn't really matter, man. You know, you can't commit fraud, okay, to that degree, for sure. That's always out there. But it is not the same way at all. He can manage that in any way he wants, doesn't have to do the deal in terms of all of the regulations that come with being on a publicly traded exchange. So it's just kind of a conversation, not really talking about trading, and he can do whatever he wants, man. You know, if you want to pay $44 billion and you want to lock in on a paywall and you know that you're going to create a company that's only worth 10 or 20 billion when you do that, but maybe Elon thinks that's the only way it can succeed. I don't think that's what's happening, right? But that's what you get to do if you buy a private company. Now, here's the interesting thing. They're considering locking all of Twitter behind a paywall. Now, they're talking about the $8 check mark. Originally, that was $20, okay? I imagine that if many people who use Twitter all of a sudden need to pay for it, might be something that you don't use, right? If Facebook started charging me tomorrow, man, not happening. I might pay a little money for Instagram, I'll be honest. But I'm not paying for Facebook, okay? So people use products that are free that they might not use if they charge them, because guess what? I mean, even I know that Facebook is probably not good for you, man. I really don't use that often at all. It's become a pretty big cesspool. But nonetheless, advertisers pay for it. But when you talk about revenue per user, okay, these companies are not built on that type of money. Now, Facebook, okay, now this is an interesting one. And this article is from November of 2019. Okay, and just to cherry pick the amount of money that these companies make, because I'm always amazed. Okay, Facebook in 2019, I think the numbers are kind of similar almost with what they're making right now, which is probably why the stock is stuttering. Average revenue per user is $7.26, but that is globally. Okay, I was finding somewhere that I believe Facebook's numbers here. Let's see, yeah, for the U.S. and Canada per user are something like, and this was in the year 2020, $34 up to $53 in Q4 of 2020. Okay, so I'm just cherry picking, Googling it to give you a basic idea. But in the US and Canada, average revenue per user, when they're charging nothing for the product and just selling advertising, in the entire U.S. was $53. In the entire world was $7. Folks, they got like billions of people. There's no way that billions of people internationally are paying $7 an item, a subscription for that thing. So if they go this route, I don't know how you get anywhere near the valuation, because they have, number one, they have far less people, okay? And there's some speculation. I don't know if they even break it down, because I'm just doing this quick. I want some of the break. But one thing I was reading here is that Twitter's got about 238 million daily active users. Folks, you start charging for that, it's going down like tenfold, okay? No matter what. And then they're making about $5 per user. Pinterest is making 90 cents somewhere. That just kind of, this whole conversation just kind of shifts to how Facebook does it, man, in terms of how they make. Yeah, Pinterest, there's the headline I read, 90 cents they make. And Facebook, $7.26. But again, that's on the globe, man. And they're making a lot less money around the globe than they are in the U.S. and Canada, where they're pulling in $30 to $50 per a user. So, you know, I don't imagine that's going paywall anytime soon, but it's just kind of a wake up when you realize how much these companies make, how much it's all off advertising. And boy, if you ever said when Zuckerberg created that company, guess what? I'm going to pull billions of people onto my platform, and I'm going to be making almost $10 per user for having half of the world on my platform. People would say, well, there's no way you're going to get half the world to sign up to pay $7 average revenue per user. So he said, I'm not going to. I'm going to sell advertising to those users, so they're going to use it for free. So it'd be interesting to see what happens with Twitter if they do that, because that is a different concept, not the way that publicly traded companies in the social media spectrum trade currently. Markets up by one more segment. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back.
TFNN has just launched their new trading room, the Tiger's Den. Hosted at Discord, TFNN has been educating traders for more than 20 years with live programming hosted by a variety of professional traders during market hours. And now they are expanding their reach with the Tiger's Den, available to all tigers and tigresses for just $1 for the year. There's no catch or added costs when you join our community of traders. In the Tiger's Den, you can look over the shoulders of Tom O'Brien and the other TFNN hosts while they analyze charts during their live Tiger TV programs, and join an interactive trading community with hundreds of members exchanging ideas. Interact with other tigers and tigresses as they share trading ideas, news analysis, and discuss the market action all trading day, even at night and on the weekends. The Tiger's Den at Discord is accessible on mobile or tablets as well, so it's always at your reach. To sign up today and become a part of this educational community of traders, just visit the front page of TFNN.com.
You might think that if you want to be successful at trading in the stock market, you're going to need a crystal ball. After all, it's impossible to predict the future, right? Like any endeavor in life, before you decide it's impossible, get some advice from the experts. You might find that it's not so impossible after all. For daily market overviews that give you direction on the key indices, selective stocks, and commodities, subscribe to the Opening Call newsletter at TFNN.com. The Opening Call newsletter is written by Basil Chapman, creator of the trading methodology known as the Chapman Wave. The Chapman Wave up-down sequence gives you an edge in identifying price turns, finding the peaks and valleys in stock prices. Get the Opening Call newsletter by Basil Chapman in your inbox every day. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know, and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. TFNN.com, educating investors.
Everything in the universe is governed by the Fibonacci sequence. This mathematical principle is responsible for everything from the most aesthetically pleasing artwork to patterns in the stock market. To stay on top of stock patterns you can take advantage of, sign up for the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter at TFNN.com. When you subscribe, you'll get a weekly report from veteran day trader Larry Pesavento on stocks you need to pay attention to. And you can trust Larry's analysis. After all, he's got 45 years experience as a day trader. Larry will also provide daily charts, videos, and data on the key markets that he's tracking. Expect notifications from Larry on market movement you need to act on at any time. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. Subscribe to the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter today. TFNN.com, educating investors.
This segment is brought to you by Thinkorswim. For more information, just click the Thinkorswim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Welcome back, folks. We have the S&Ps. We're back positive by about 10 points right now in the S&Ps, trading at 38.24. NASDAQ positive by 64. We're not going to know anything throughout the market day today, folks. Polls close, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in different areas across the country. Kevin Hincks listed some of the states that are up for grabs that are most important. Those numbers start rolling in later this evening. They'll be coming in later, depending on how close they are. Some of those states might not even be settled tonight as we wait for some of those numbers. So, the market, it's all going to be anticipation today. We're not going to find out any real information ahead of the close at 4 o'clock. So keep that in mind as well, as we might get some speculative moves going in both directions. All right, we got a question about Boeing in the Tiger's Den. This one's an interesting one. Quite a run over the last few days, really. We'll say from 141 last Wednesday, we're pushing 167. You're up by another %. Now, taking a look at this thing on a longer term, okay, Boeing, we were in quite a downtrend channel from the highs we had back in March of 2021. You break out of that 2 earnings ago, okay? Accelerate out of that trend, barely get back in it. We're back within it now. We'll see if that holds as we've kind of meandered out of that channel line. Maybe it's not as important right now. The area I would watch is how we trade into this area from the highs of August. As you have a high there, this is again on a weekly, pushing 171 and 173. We're coming in at about 166 right now. You put this thing on a daily, there's your daily as we break into that area. Tough earnings for Boeing from 150 down to a low of 133. And just like that, you're talking about, 8 out of 9 days you're in the red. So I'm not sure I'd chase it just yet, man. You could get a decent pullback. And the other thing to keep your eye on is that you really had an acceleration there on November 2nd, okay? And that day we had 20 million. And since then, we got 16, 9, 10, and we'll see what we do today as we're at about 1.2 million. But Boeing, quite a little run, maybe back within that channel line. But if you're looking forward, I'd look for that area, see how we trade into the August highs, if we can get above it. If we do, we're trading about 185 probably, which is another $20 to the upside. All right, folks, thanks so much for starting your day with me. Hey, get out there and vote no matter what. The more people vote, I got faith in this country, man. If everybody voted, things would take care of themselves. Voting, folks, it's an important one. Get out there if you can today. Cast your ballot. Thanks for starting your trading day. Stay tuned. Basil Chapman, he's up next, folks. Have a great Tuesday, everybody.